Welcome to part 3 of my Crossout Bootcamp series of videos. The aim of this series is to equip you with all the information you need to be successful and have a good time in game, and ultimately to help you progress to the more advanced content like Invasion, Hard Raids and Clan Wars. In this video I'm going to cover some useful construction tactics which will help you to build stronger and more efficient vehicles. Once you've started to collect a bit of gear in Crossout, the next big hurdle you're going to hit is figuring out how to put it all together efficiently. There are a lot of big do's and don'ts that come into play when putting a strong build together, and once you get to grips with them, you can really start to rack up the kills. Just as a quick warning, I'm going to cover armour use for the first 2 points. It's a bit tedious, but stick with me because the fun stuff comes later. Okay, structure. The single most important thing you should understand if you want to build strong vehicles in Crossout is how structure works. It's not as simple as it might initially look. Your base cabin has a set amount of structure which can be increased by adding structure components to your vehicle. A structure component is any part that says increases vehicle durability by X amount, and that's going to be in its description. That's pretty much any part that doesn't say grille or bumper under its name on the structure tab. Now, this bit isn't explained very well in the game, but each structure part has X amount of structure and also adds the same amount to the cabin. So, as an example, if I take a duster cabin and add an APC roof part to it, that's going to give a total structure of 290 to the cabin. If the APC roof is shot off, that's going to deduct its 120 structure from the cabin. But if you were to deal 280 damage direct to the cabin, leaving it with 10, that APC roof can still take the full 120 damage before it's destroyed. What all that means is that it's possible to almost double your vehicle's effective structure if you can make people shoot at the cabin first, then switch to shooting components later on. There's a massive amount of structure components available in the game, and achieving maximum efficiency with the armour is really quite hard. So without getting too complex on you, what you should try to do is choose your armour based on your part limit, to start with at least. As a new player, your total part limit is going to be pretty low, especially if you didn't buy any packs. So early on, you probably just want to use the highest structure parts you've got available. But later, as your maximum parts increase, you might find that stacking all the biggest parts you've got available is pushing your power score up far too much and it's making your vehicle ineffective. At that point, understanding how to use armour more efficiently is going to start to become a bit more important for you. All structure components are organised into the 7 different factions, and all parts from each faction share the same structure to power score to weight ratios. The most simple way to compare them is to take X power score worth of each faction's structure components and look at how the weight and structure values change across each. So, for 35 power score, Lunatics will give you the lowest weight to armour ratio with 28 structure for only 54 mass, followed by Firestarters, then Engineers, Nomads, Dawn Children, Scavengers, and finally Steppenwolves with a massive 61 points of structure at 180 kilograms for the same 35 power score. Paying attention to these stats is going to help you to use your armour more efficiently based on what you want your vehicle to do. So for example, a maximum power score hover build should mostly use Lunatic and Firestarter components because the high power score is worth it to keep mass down. But for a 5k power score track build, Scavenger and Steppenwolf's components are going to be more efficient because the increased weight won't have much effect on the vehicle. Now you know how structure works, so let's talk about bolting it on. Proper positioning of armour is obviously completely different from vehicle to vehicle, but in my opinion there's one sort of loose format that most vehicles should follow. There should be one nice big chunk of armour to the vehicle's rear, behind the cabin, with bumpers plus light armour to the front and sort of medium-ish armour to the sides of the cabin. I know common sense dictates that the biggest chunk of armour should be at the front because that's what points at the enemy, but hear me out, I'll explain. Hiding the front of your cabin by covering it completely in armour is a false economy because, as I explained, Any part you lose have their structure deducted from the cabin's total anyway. Leaving your cabin relatively unarmoured but having a bigger chunk of structure protecting weapons and systems and stuff to the rear is a better way to do it. This way the parts are now both protecting your weapons and adding structure to the cabin, rather than protecting your cabin that gets damaged as all the parts fall off anyway. To understand why this approach is good, you need a basic understanding of how explosive damage works in the game. To demonstrate, I'm going to use a single LB6 cannon. Explosive damage in Crossout deals damage to all exposed components within the explosion, so they will deal much more damage to a dense clump of armour than they would to an unarmoured cabin. And here from the footage you can see that if I target the big chunk of armour to the rear, I can actually destroy the vehicle faster than if I aim for the cabin. So what you actually want to do is protect the armour with the cabin. Weird, right? So as one final bonus, if you're losing a fight, you can turn and start to run, and as I explained earlier, that big bundle of structure will still have full durability on the back, even if your cabin's only got a few points left. Okay, that last video got a bit long and boring in my opinion, so what I'm going to do is stop this one here, and I'll split the structure components over 2 videos. It's probably just like, better for everyone's sanity that way. So in the next one, I'll talk about tactical use of bumpers and frame components, and also a bit about spaced armour at the end. Thanks for watching, and if you think the video was better than the last, it will be awesome if you bros would hit the like button, or just press all the stuff around the frame there, And I'll go and get that next video cooking. It might be on screen now if it's done, so I'll see you in that one. Bye bye guys.